So Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is on its way out. Now some leaks happened. For one, the game itself was leaked ahead of its announcement. And the announcement was leaked by forum user Rice, that is spelled RYCE, on NeoGAF. So he's kind of got some cred when it comes to leaks for this game. Apparently he has also leaked what could be the full roster of characters on disc. So non-DLC characters. And it does raise some concerns. But before we go into those concerns, let's go ahead and go through this leaked roster. On the Capcom side, we have Arthur, Chris, Chun-Li, Dante, Firebrand, Jeddah, who is from Dark Souls.
What?
Not Dark Souls. I'm sorry. What's the game that Morgan's from? Darkstalkers. Darkstalkers. Yes. Not Dark Souls. Darkstalkers. Monster Hunter. Just a Monster Hunter person. Morrigan, Nemesis, Ryu, Spencer, Strider Hiryu, and X. Or Mega Man X. On the Marvel side, we have Ant-Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Gamora, Hawkeye, Hulk, Iron Man, Nova, Rocket and Groot, Spider-Man, Thanos, Thor, and Ultron.
I think maybe the most, well, I don't know. I guess people who, look at this game probably know either a lot about Marvel or a lot about Capcom, or a little bit of both, but I think, Nova is probably the most, unrecognizable character in that roster. Just because they haven't made a movie with Nova.
Right. And he was in Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Oh,
so
was he?
He's a returning character, yeah.
Okay.
But let's talk about the Marvel side first. Of course, no Wolverine. Wolverine has been in every single one of these games.
Well, Steven, I don't know if you know this, but he died.
He's a comic book character.
He died.
He doesn't die.
It's canon. Little girl killed him.
Then why is Captain America in here?
Captain America's not dead.
Yeah, he's died plenty of times. Depends on the timeline that you're in.
The Now timeline.
Also, what about...
Okay, if we're going to play
Spider-Man?
That game, everyone's died.
What about
the game literally doesn't have a roster.
It's comic books. Death doesn't mean anything. The only people that stay dead are Bruce Wayne's parents and Uncle Ben. Those are the only people that stay dead in comics. Come on.
That's not true. There's a comic where Bruce dies. No? Wait. Yeah, Bruce Wayne.
I know there's a timeline where
his dad,
Bruce, is the one who dies, and his dad becomes Batman, and you know what becomes of his mom?
She becomes the Joker.
Which is, that's so cool. Actually, side note, sorry. I had a cool idea. What if, in an alternate universe for Batman, instead of being afraid of bats, Bruce was afraid of clowns? So he becomes the Joker and fights crime as the Joker to strike fear into the hearts of criminals. And then you have his arch nemesis be Batman. Someone who's just obsessed with bats.
I think there is a universe where something like that happens, but it's Red Hood and then I think Owlman.
Okay.
It's if the heroes in DC were the villains, and the villains in DC were heroes, and I think it's I don't know if it's exclusive to the Batman scene or if it's all of them, but there is one where the Red Hood is basically the Joker, but he wears a red trash can on his head. I don't know. It's not a trash can, but it basically covers his whole face, and it doesn't look like he can see anyway.
So Yeah, not only Wolverine, but pretty much any X-Men character. No Magneto either. Like all these, X-Men. No Sentinel. Sentinel's been in the last two.
Oh yeah.
And it just seems, and we kind of know that Marvel wants to kind of get away from characters that they don't have movie rights to. No Fantastic Four characters either, if you've noticed. Which, yeah, I'm kind of like, meh. All right, that's fine with me. And it's characters basically tied to the MCU. That being said, we have Gamora, but no Star-Lord.
And Groot and Rocket.
Yeah. I mean, I think Star-Lord you can... I would say Star-Lord... I mean, Rocket... Now, Rocket, granted, was in 3. He was the only Guardians of the Galaxy character in 3. But... And I think they're he's probably going to have, Groot as, an assist or something like that to help... certain moves will summon Groot out, probably. In fact, they've already shown his super, and it involves Groot coming in and helping. But, yeah, just kind of if you're a Gamora fan, that's great. And I've not read any of the Guardians of the Galaxy's comics, but it just seems to me like Star-Lord is a much more recognizable character than Gamora is. And the fact that she's only one of 3 females, I just feel like you could have picked someone better as a female character to choose from the Marvel side, because it's basically her and Captain Marvel, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And the rest are all guys. But everyone else kind of makes sense. Ant-Man, he'll be a new one. Doctor Strange, oddly enough, was in the 3rd one. Hulk, Hawkeye, they're all returning. Nova's returning. Iron Man, of course, has pretty much always been in the series. Same thing with Spider-Man. Thanos is interesting because Thanos hasn't been a character since 2, and 2 was released 15, 16, 17 years ago. So that'll be neat. I like what they're doing with the storyline of having Ultron and Sigma combined into one being.
See, and I was just going to say that, they have Ultron as a playable character.
Sigma will be DLC. I know. That's, to me, that is dumb. That's really putting characters that, they're just... Capcom still hasn't figured out how to do DLC yet, apparently.
They still haven't figured out how to make games yet, apparently.
And this is also a very small roster. Let me just do a quick count here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, I miscounted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So Ultron is the 14th one on there. So you're basically going to have 27 characters on the disc with no DLC. That's really low. I want to say even you had 2 different versions of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. You had the vanilla version and then the Ultimate version. And Ultimate, I want to say, added maybe about 8 characters to it, and it brought it up to 39. But you still had 30-something characters in the original. It's in this day and age, I could go on and on about things I love about Smash Brothers and how each iteration of Smash Brothers pretty much always does better, with the exception of the Subspace Emissary. I still miss that from the new one, but they do what I feel every fighting game should do.
Up your
always
roster.
Increase the roster. And Marvel vs. Capcom, it's never done that. It did it with the first game. Between first and second game, I want to say you went from having 15 characters, not including the couple of hidden characters, to 52 or 56. I think there were 56 characters in the second one, down to 32 in the third one, back up to 40 or so in the Ultimate version. Now you're going back. It's so... And I know they're going to have DLC characters. And with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they had 2 characters that were DLC only. Jill and Shumagorath. And, you know, both of those were included in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, free of DLC.
So, the moral of the story is, don't buy this one, wait for the Ultimate Edition.
Right, where it will hopefully include all the DLC characters. It's just... And did you know that there's a $200 collector's edition? Now, it will include all of the DLC that's going to come out with it, and I'm considering... No. I know this is terrible. I'm considering not getting that version, but there is like an $80 or $90 version that comes with some extras plus all the DLC.
That's fine. That's fine. If you spend $200 on this,
yeah,
I can't say the things I want to say.
Right. And what's so bad about these games, especially with having DLC with these games, since Marvel is involved and forthwith Disney, the rights for selling this game do not last forever. I have Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for PS3. I cannot download the DLC characters because they have been removed due to the copyright or the rights to sell the game having been expired. You can download the game now on PS4 and Xbox One with all the DLC included, but I'm not going to buy a version of a game that I already have unless it's a really good game and I really want to experience it 2 different ways or 3 different ways. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is not that game. So with all this DLC stuff, like, you basically have to get this game, get all the DLC characters as they become available, because who knows when in the future you won't be able to get all the extra stuff if you do decide you want it later. It's like games are not like, they're not these seasonal things. That's kind of what's been driving me crazy about video games, and we've talked about this outside of the podcast, software in general, where it's almost like you don't pay a one-time price. They want you to like pay a subscription to like play a game, and that's fine as an option, but don't replace it. Like, I'm sorry, but I want all this stuff on the disc that I'm paying for. And if you have extra stuff that you come up with later, fine. But when you're planning it, like, you basically get the standard version stripped down of a game with not even half the characters they had 2 games ago, this is what irritates people.
And I don't even play this game, and it bugs me.
Oh, and there's rumors that they're going to replace the X-Men characters with the Inhumans characters. What did you say to me when I told you about that earlier today?
Who are the Inhumans?
Exactly. Who are the Inhumans? Unless you're like a really, really into it comic book fan, you're not going to know about this stuff. You just won't. I just don't know. I thought Capcom had learned its lesson with things and it was making a turnaround. But if they're going to hold characters hostage, which that's what this is, let's face it, I don't have that much interest in supporting something like that with my dollars. I just don't. And it's a fighting game. There's not going to be a ton of content for it. You just make a good engine, you make good characters with good movesets, and you've got a good fighting game. But did you have anything else to add? You weren't looking up who the Inhumans were?
No, I am, but I still can't tell you. It's like they're clearly superheroes, and like the people also ask, who was the leader of the Inhumans? What is Black Bolt's power? Probably lightning. Is the Inhumans movie canceled? What kind of dog is Lockjaw? Who's Lockjaw? Is it a dog? Is it a dog man? Why is that not a question?
Why are there so many questions regarding the Inhumans?
I really think that if you're asking what kind of power does someone have whose name is Black Bolt,
maybe they're talking about like arrows are sometimes called bolts, but we've already got Hawkeye, so you don't need another archer.
That's a crossbow.
Arrows, yeah, I guess you're
arrows
right.
For a bow or arrows for bolts. Crossbow, it's bolts.
Gotcha. What about like bolts on a door, like a deadbolt?
The answer is I stopped caring.
And that's the answer everyone has.
Who cares about
Because
them?
no one cares about the Inhumans. You know what people do care about? They want to see X-Men characters in a game which has always featured X-Men characters. And I know that Marvel's Capcom Infinite is supposed to be like a reboot of the series of sorts. But we don't care. We want Wolverine, we want Magneto, we want Sentinel.
You know what I really want?
What do you really want?
I want that cactus thing.
I think his name's like Amigo or something like that.
With the sombrero. From a game that was canceled, but for some reason they added him to the roster. Love that guy.
Yeah.
He's a terrible
There's a lot of... Oh, and what about the Capcom side of things? Arthur? Really? Arthur? He was in 3...
You're walking down the street?
He was in 3, and nobody used him. Yeah, I'm done. I'm not even gonna.
I was gonna say.
Okay, and here's another thing. Chris from Resident Evil. Chris should not be, and he was in 3. I understand. He shouldn't. He's not the most popular character of Resident Evil. That goes to Leon Kennedy. I'm sorry, but Leon Kennedy should be your mascot for Resident Evil. If you're gonna put, Jill behind a paywall. Dante, thank heavens Dante's going to be in it. He was in the 3rd one.
I don't know who Firebrand is.
Firebrand was a monster you fight in Ghosts and Goblins. And he actually he's really popular in the tournament scene and the I shouldn't say tournament, but competitive scene for MVC3, but so he's returning. Jeddah is an actual new person. Monster Hunter, I think that's another smart choice to add.
But what does that give you to work with? Because there's so many weapons and armor to what are you gonna make it look like? I mean, costumes, I guess you could give it the different armor, but then you've got
have him use a bunch of different weapons. Have one move be a different weapon.
You think that game developers nowadays are willing to put that much effort in there
yeah.
if they're not even going to put half of the boss in the main roster?
That's true. But look at Dissidia Duodecim. They did that with Van. They gave him every single move was a different weapon because he was technically able to use pretty much every weapon in the game.
I guess
you could do that. And then Morrigan, Nemesis, Ryu, Spencer, Strider Hiryu, all returning characters.
Strider Hiryu, that's the dude who the old arcade game Strider, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
He's always been in Marvel's Capcom. And then of course we have X, who's replacing Zero, why can't we have X and Zero and then have them on a team?
You want to know something? I bet Zero's going to be DLC.
I was going to say that same thing. Because they know that they're basically giving us half a game here.
What? Capcom giving you half a game?
I know. Where did they get that idea? Probably themselves.
Do you want to know what I have a question about? Why is it that anything involving Capcom or Marvel, or not usually Marvel, but anything involving Capcom usually gets really high views?
Oh, for us?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Why do you guys like Capcom so much out of all the things we talk about?
Yeah. I don't know.
Leave a comment.
We'll probably get a bunch of thumbs down for this one too.
I was like, what do you want?